With all that swearing, you wouldn't want to have some teachers in the room.
No.
Well, we do.
You will be reprimanded for that.
That's right. Well, they are the backbone of our education system, but for our teachers' life in the classroom is proving pretty tough at the moment. Rising vacancies resulting in many schools running skeleton programs. 3 out of 4 schools struggle with teacher shortages. 1 in 4 teachers are regularly teaching classes outside of their area of training. 7 in 10 teachers describe their workloads as unmanageable. And almost half of Australian teachers are considering quitting their jobs in the next 12 months. It's a big number.
Yeah.
So what can we do about it? To discuss, we're joined now by former teacher and wellbeing education Meg Durham, former principal and the Director of Wellbeing at Catholic Schools Parramatta Diocese, Dr Greg Elliott, and mother of 4, Bernadette Haddad. Thank you all for being here today.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Now, this is a big deal. I mean, when you look at these numbers, I mean, it's alarming.
Well, when I look at these numbers, I'm actually not surprised. As a former teacher and someone who works in schools every day, this is what we're seeing. This is what we're hearing. We have a big problem on our hands. And it's no doubt that we're seeing really good teachers are leaving the profession. And I feel that sometimes the way that we're expecting teachers to work at the moment, it is a recipe for burnout.
There's so many things on their plate.
Yeah.
Doctor, you oversee 80 schools.
Yes.
Is that the kind of thing, is that consistent, these figures, and also that dropout rate potentially and the stress on teachers?
Those numbers are alarming. In our system, I think we do have some challenges around being able to fill those vacancies. But I think we need to acknowledge that the work of teachers has changed over time, certainly since 30 years ago when I started teaching. It's become a more sophisticated, more complex work. And the sorts of issues that teachers are working with in the classroom are certainly more complex. The kids are more complex. And on a day like today, when so many students are sitting for their NAPLAN exams, it's a reminder that there's a level of accountability for teachers and pressure on students. So the landscape certainly has changed.
Yeah, absolutely. What you were saying before, Carl, is that the role of teachers really has shifted. Bernadette, you're a mother of 4 from year 1 to university, as I understand it. What changes have you noticed over that period? Because that's quite a significant chunk there of education.
Look, pre-COVID, the only time you'd see a teacher leave would be at the end of the year. As you know, people change jobs end of year, they see the year out, or they were having a baby. Now, you know, you're seeing teachers changing professions, leaving, and, you know, in some instances you see there could be 2 teachers teaching a subject in high school.
Has it impacted your kids' education, do you think?
Look, we're quite lucky that the schools that my children are at, the schools have been quite open and honest with their communication. So we get told, so at the primary school my child's at, we get a what's happening this week. So you know what days your teacher's out, what's happening, so we can prepare our children. Because coming out of COVID and them being so young, they become very reliant on their teacher. It's like a trust thing that they build up with their teacher. So if a different teacher comes in, they're like a little bit worried. But we also find, like, my child will come home and say, the principal taught me today, or the vice principal, or someone from the leadership team that they know are the, you know, and I can only imagine the stress they're under, having their own jobs running a school, but then having to step in and teach in the classroom.
So can I say this? I still remember the names of every one of my teachers in primary school.
Really?
Mr. Landis, for years 1 and year 2 at Capalaba State School. Then I had Mr. Bright. Then I had, this is going to be boring for you. I had a
Mrs.
Robinson. I had Miss Home. But that was the level of a connection between kids and their teachers. And for me, it was an integral part of my growing up. To have that every day and that consistency. I worry that that's going to change now with the number of teachers wanting to drop out.
I don't think that's changed, though. I think teachers in all schools, whatever sector that's in, teachers arrive at work each day wanting to do a really great job for their students. And that connection is what really makes education work, the relationship between the teachers and the students. And so people who enter the career of teaching are generally entering for those reasons, wanting to make that difference in...
So how are we going to keep teachers there?
I think conversations like this are so important, and I'm so glad that we're having it. Because for so long, I think we have this challenge that because everyone's been to school, everyone feels like they're an expert in education, when we are registered professionals that work really hard on our craft. And with all of these extra demands, sometimes I think the public feel like teachers should be Mary Poppins.
Yeah, you're expected to do so much,
They should expected to be so much, to be perfect, to please, to get everything right. And as soon as we make a misstep, we hear about it. You know, something that we haven't had to deal with in the past that we're dealing with now is WhatsApp groups. We've got the whole cohort of parents on a WhatsApp group talking about what's happening in the classroom.
It's like your own little PNC.
Yeah.
I think there are some things we could do better, though. One of the things we're really working on is supporting early career teachers. So people who are coming out of university with an imagination about what teaching will be like, they're the ones who really need support. They need to be working alongside more experienced teachers and to be supported through those first couple of years, because the attrition we're looking at is really in that early career stage. And the other area we need to work on, and we are working on, is giving leaders the skills to deal with people coming to work already feeling distressed, because teachers are like everyone else in the community. They're living with cost of living pressures and rising mortgage interest rates. And so giving our principals and leaders the skills to support the people that they're working with is important.
I think that's a really great point too. I mean, when you consider what we've been through with the pandemic and where kids are at now and the stresses that kids have seen at home and the stresses they're bringing to school, and these things are very complex and deeply emotional for some of these kids. How far away is that support?
Well, it's happening now. I think the third thing that we really do need to get right as a community is to trust teachers and trust schools, because the narrative in Australia for a long time has been to blame teachers, as Meg's saying, for a lot of what's happening in the country. But teachers and schools are doing their best, and those WhatsApp groups aren't really helping. And having a trusting relationship between families and schools is a key to the kids feeling safe and teachers feeling supported.
Bernadette, you've got 4 kids, as Sarah pointed out. I mean, there are some country schools with fewer kids. What is going to give you peace of mind for your youngest?
Look, I think like we teach our kids to be open and honest with us, and it's the same with the schools. I mean, we're lucky enough and fortunate that the schools where my children are at, the schools are open and honest with us. They let us know if they're looking for a teacher, and they're doing their best to, you know, help the situation. And I take my hat off to them, because it really is a hard job. Sometimes I've been in the classroom helping and I can see firsthand and I think, oh my gosh, my time's up, I'm going home now.
What a relief for you.
See you.
Are you on a WhatsApp group?
Yeah.
Carl, yes I am. In all honesty, yes I am. There's no negativity going on in that WhatsApp group. Because, you know, people can always snapshot and send.
That's right. You can't
And,
be
you
too
know,
careful.
no, there's no negativity going on.
It's such an interesting topic. Please come back and discuss again further with some questions from our viewers. A lot of people, I mean, it's nothing more important than your kids' education, so appreciate you being on.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks, guys.
Well, police